Has Bethesda misled consumers in regards to their Fallout 76 beta on Xbox One? Did they wrong the community as a whole by only allowing such a short time to actually play the game in the first week of the beta? In this video, I more or less want to explore this topic. It's certainly been hotly debated in the Fallout community by many different people. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on this. And in this video, what I'm going to do is try and lay out either side of the argument, why some people feel one way and why other people feel a different way, and then actually give my own views and thoughts on it. So first and foremost, if you don't follow Fallout 76 news too closely, more or less what's going on is Fallout 76 had its beta debut on Xbox One just this past Tuesday, and you could play for 4 hours. It was actually a little bit longer because it started early, so 4 hours and 20 minutes. As of right now, the next times you can play have been published. That's going to be Saturday and Sunday, each day for another 2 hours respectively. PC and PS4 get access on Tuesday, so unless they announce a new play session on Monday, the week-long timed exclusivity on Xbox One only actually gives you 8 hours of playtime, assuming you could actually use all 8 of those hours. Many people feel misled by this, and a lot of people feel like Bethesda wronged them. So the big argument against this, that no, Bethesda is totally in the right here and people are just overreacting, is that technically they told us this was a possibility. If you actually go through and read the FAQ, based on the wording here, it says might be open for 4 to 8 hours per day. And that sentence as a whole means two things, that it might not actually be every single day, and even beyond that, it might not even be for 4 to 8 hours. They gave those time frames maybe as an ideal, but in reality, it never actually confirmed that's how long the beta would last for. So technically, Bethesda is totally right. They didn't mislead anyone because they told us up front. This sentence tells us that the beta might not be every day and it might not be for 48 hours. And even beyond that, there were some tweets by Pete Hines that were covered by a lot of other outlets, including me, that indicated this also, that the beta may not be every day for people that weren't totally sure on that. In particular, a lot of people are curious about the Wednesday times because they figured that the beta would be Tuesday and then also Wednesday, but this tweet should have cleared that up for everybody. And of course, one of the biggest aspects of this, at the end of the day, this is a beta. It's not for the consumers to get to play the game, it's for Bethesda, the company, the developers, to actually get to fix the game for the actual release. From the announcement of this beta, that's how it's been positioned. Even at the E3 conference, they regarded it as something that was meant to break the game, really put stress on the servers and find potential bugs, and hopefully now we have time for the developers to fix them. And what's like the final nail in the coffin for people that do support this beta is you still got 2 more weeks. Based off the Sony email, it seems like the beta is going to run until November 11th, which is a pretty long time. Invariably, as more and more bugs are fixed, hopefully we'll get more beta playtime. But again, the focus of this either way is to fix bugs, not increase playtime. So that's one side of things, and to be totally clear, I want to try and stay as objective as possible here, but I don't fully agree with that side. I try to be fair with the arguments I have been reading about and seeing, and that seems to encompass most of them, but if I miss something, definitely tell me in the comments down below. I'm sure many of you have already typed out those comments though. So what about the opposition, the people that don't feel that Bethesda is doing the right thing here, and in fact actually feel slightly or very misled by the way this beta is functioning? So one of the big arguments I'm seeing on the other side is that even though the FAQ actually said when the beta would be and how it would only be sometimes, in reality, a lot of people interpreted that in a different way. And this was kind of furthered by some of the marketing and advertising you could see even still. If you go on Bethesda's Twitter page right now, you could actually see it says the Xbox One beta is available now. And this is kind of echoed through a lot of their copy. You could play early a week on Xbox One is something that has been said and repeated multiple times, both by community members and even people at Bethesda themselves. For better or worse, most people took that at face value, that I can play the game for 7 days more than on other platforms. In reality, that's translating now to 8 hours more than on other platforms. And you know what? I'm tired of talking about hypotheticals or how other people feel about this. For me, the way I feel about Fallout 76's beta on Xbox One specifically, yes, Bethesda was technically correct, but does that really matter? Like, isn't there saying that there's a ton of dead people that were technically correct? Now, I don't think Bethesda's going to die as a result of this, but my point is, even though Bethesda had it laid out in their FAQ, it wasn't worded in a way that was conducive to people interpreting it as you may get to play once every 4 days for 2 hours or so. Now, at least for me, the actual actions of Bethesda don't really bother me too much. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate that I can't play the beta every day this week, but you know, it is a beta. A lot of people are criticizing it last month saying, what's the point? It's just like a demo that's early. But no, based off the way Bethesda's handling the beta right now, it seems like it's a pretty legitimate play session. People are getting to play the game for a few hours, they're getting a ton of different bug reports, and they're taking a few days to fix those. They are quite literally having players break the game and then fixing it later on, like you kind of do in a beta. And at least for me, the issue really isn't on what's going on as far as me playing the beta. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate I can't play it every day, but I get it. I'm okay with having to wait a few days. I'll get to play the full game in all of a couple weeks. There's a ton of other games coming out right now anyway. The thing I think that bothers me more is how they're talking about it, the way they communicated the beta. Like, let's say I'm just the average consumer. I maybe watched a few YouTube videos on Fallout 76, followed Bethesda's Twitter, looked at some of their tweets, and that led me to pre-ordering Fallout 76 on Xbox over PS4 to play the beta early. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are in that boat. Now, if I was that consumer, yeah, I would feel pretty misled if then I later find out I only actually get to play for a total of 8 hours over the span of that week. Now again, this might be expanded, maybe they'll add another 8-hour time slot on Monday, so it'll really be 16 hours, but largely my point still stands. I think Bethesda should have been way more upfront about the fact that this might be so sparse and for so few hours. Let's say last week you go on one of the major subreddits for Fallout 76 and survey the community. You ask them, how many hours do you think you'll get to play Fallout 76 early on Xbox One compared to the other platforms? I bet a lot of people would have assumed 4 to 8 hours per day, maybe take out a few days in the middle there, but at the very least probably 4 to 8 hours every other day. Well, when you compare that to reality of what we're actually getting, that's probably why people feel so crappy about this, why they feel so misled. If you look at a lot of the information Bethesda put out there, even though they are technically correct, it almost feels like there was a disconnect between their marketing team and the marketing of this game and the developers and what their expectations were for how this beta was going to function. And I think this is a bigger problem than just the beta. I've been criticizing Bethesda's marketing for this game since it originally got announced, since the first trailer came out. It almost feels like Bethesda wants this game to exist in a bubble, where their beta is the only kind of beta. But no, the problem is consumers come into this beta with certain expectations. Most betas for most games, after they start, they actually go on for 24/7 until their end date. Let's say it be 4 days or a week. And I think Bethesda did a subpar job on making the differences of their beta aware to the everyday consumer. I think most people knew it wasn't going to be 24/7. They did a good job at that. But the wording and just the advertisement of this game certainly made it seem like it was going to be every day, and it definitely seemed like it was going to be 4 to 8 hours per day. And again, this isn't their first offense in this category, at least in my eyes. If you look at the first trailer for Fallout 76, it doesn't look like a multiplayer game. And for months, Bethesda faced controversies and kind of responded to some of those, saying, too many people are comparing this to Rust or DayZ, while this game is very different. Well, how would we know that? We barely saw any gameplay up until this Greenbrier event. Bethesda is introducing new ideas and new concepts with this game, but doing an inadequate job at actually showing them or explaining them to us, and that's leading to a lot of confusion, and in this instance, it is seemingly leading a lot of people to feel misled. Like, think back to the time in between the announcement of Fallout 76 and when we got all of the Greenbrier footage. There's a lot of mechanics in this game that we only got verbal explanations of, and then even further, people had different interpretations, there was a ton of misinformation spread, and at the end of the day, I think in my view personally, that's a byproduct of the way this game was advertised, as to the way a lot of these features were diffused and actually discussed with us. Now, that's not to say that everybody should have a full understanding of this game or no other game has confusion, but when you take the moderately informed user and they had a pretty bad understanding of how your beta would actually work, I think that's a problem of perception, which is really a problem of marketing. Now, at the end of the day, I feel like this is largely inconsequential. We live in an outrage culture nowadays, so I think people just like to get freaked out about stuff, and then you have other people who will freak out as a result of the first guy freaking out. There's a ton of cool games out right now, whether it be Call of Duty, whether it be the new Red Dead Redemption. You'll be totally okay if you can't play Fallout 76's beta every day. Life will go on, and everyone will probably move on from this problem in all of 2 weeks. But at the same time, my end message here is I think Bethesda has to do a better job at communicating. And I think if you look at Fallout 76 overall, between the initial multiplayer leaks or then some of the different features and how they would work, and then finally now at the beta, you could see multiple instances along the way where people just started to hate on the game probably because they didn't fully understand it, or they thought something would work one way and then in reality they found out later on, oh no, that's actually not at all true. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Fallout 76 fiasco. I'm still going to play the game, still going to enjoy the game. I just think and really hope Bethesda can use this as a learning experience and just make the regular consumer feel more informed when it comes to Starfield or even maybe Fallout 76 DLC. Because at the end of the day, I would say Bethesda has more incentive to reduce this confusion compared to anyone else. The reception to the initial beta was largely positive. They don't want people then canceling their pre-orders because of outside factors that aren't the game itself. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for my thoughts on this one. I could already see the comment section of this being a cesspool and super controversial, but hey, every once in a while you do get those actual level-headed and sound arguments to come through. If you guys disagree with me, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, whether it be on Twitter or you could actually message me on Discord. Maybe you think what Bethesda did was right and people are just overreacting. There really isn't an issue with how they presented the game or presented the beta. I would love to hear from you. I'm totally open to changing my mind. Maybe I'm just seeing things through the wrong perspective. And also, I know a lot of people are actually wondering about it. Bethesda updated their FAQ and added the PC recommended specs on there. So you can see it on screen right now, but I'll also have it linked down below if you guys want to check it out. Either way, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.